Bar for Bar album reviews. Tobe Nwigwe, Cincoriginals. Cincoriginals is the latest project from Houston rapper Tobe Nwigwe and is the 5th installment in his original series. To many, including myself, hearing that Tobe is from Houston put a particular sound in my mind and in my ear for what I'd expect from him. However, once you start listening, you can tell that he's something different. He's been fairly underground and unknown, I'd say, up until recently, when his track Jockin' made Beyonce's Classy Bougie Ratchet title playlist. You may have also heard of him from the track Try Jesus, which dropped earlier this year and is on his Pandemic project due to its popularity. Cincoriginals comes in at a total runtime of 48 minutes with 14 tracks, so it's not too long. It's more like 13 tracks if you decide to exclude the outro, which is a longer form outro that Tobe's been doing on many of his recent projects. There are also videos for many, if not most, of the songs on this album, so be sure to check those out because the visuals are just insane. The first track on this album is Eat, featuring Fat, aka Tobe's wife. This track starts off with Tobe talking about how he eats beats, and it's a pretty braggadocious track, I'd say. I really like this because it's a very strong start to the project by just straight up grabbing the listener and showing them that even though this beat may not sound like a typical rap beat at first, he's still gonna go and eat it up. The braggadocious rapping continues on with Fat's verse, where she starts off by saying, "How I dropped 2 kids and still snap back. How to have these girls don't think my pan did." And she continues on from there. But with those 2 lines alone, she's just proving to you that even though she's had this little bit of time off because she had the kids, that don't mean her pen's dead. Her verse ends by bringing up the fact also that they are both about to be on a first name basis with Beyonce because of their inclusion on her playlist, but also because of the Houston connection. Another thing that I really like about her verse is that Tobe is just the hype man for the whole verse. It's just very wholesome. Especially watching the video, it's just, you can see how excited he is to hear her rapping again. This then goes into Wildlings, which features Olu of Earth Gang and Duckworth. The track is about empowerment and making everyone feel that they're allowed to have a crown. The Wildlings that they're making reference to here, I believe, are all the people that are looked down on and thought of as lesser simply because of the color of their skin and because of their situations that they're in. The chorus from Olu makes it sound like he's addressing a lot of police brutality as well that we've been seeing this year with, when we see 12, we gonna get down, so don't make a sound. This statement is really sad actually because for the most part, you would expect police to be the ones that are meant to protect and serve, but instead they're feared because of all their bullshit. It's a really solid song though, with a message that I feel that more passive listeners may miss, similar to Kendrick's Swimming Pools. The next track, Bozos, features one of my favorite rappers, Big Crit. This track is for the Bozos who don't know, but it takes inspiration from Bozo the Clown, which is really just a generic name for a clown, but it's also used as a name to call people that have just been foolish or acting a clown. In this case, the Bozos are the people who make poor decisions with their money and how they present themselves amongst other people, but also just haters in general. With Tobe's verse, he's trying to guide you down the road less traveled to show you that you can make it out the dirt and get what you want to accomplish. He also makes a point of making sure to do things that you love and surround yourself with people that you love and support each other, because that's what's going to help you stay grounded. With Crit's verse, he talks about how you can buy fancy cars and buy a bunch of jewelry, but that won't necessarily bring you happiness. Don't fall into this trap of thinking that you have to have these things to feel like you've accomplished something or that you're an accomplished person. It's actually just a really positive track, even though the chorus makes it sound like it might be a bit of a hating joint. Father Figure has Tobe bringing in Black Thought and Royce da 5'9" to talk about how they're carrying themselves as men and how they're a father figure to others. Tobe starts off by teaching you how to stay humble. Obviously, he said he could drive a Beamer, but instead he's driving a Hyundai Accent, because to him it's not about the money, it's more about the confidence. And this could be related to a lot of material goods in life as well, similar to how Crit mentioned on the previous track, that you don't have to have all this flashy jewelry or fancy cars. Black Thought then comes in with a verse that's very pro-black, and it's as if he's speaking directly to the black youth in a way to empower them and let them know that they're great while, just spin some braggadocious bars as well. The next song on the album is Headshots, featuring D-Smoke. This song feels like it's about where they both came up from. Tobe's verse has him talking about the things that happen where he's from and how he hopes that listeners understand that he's just straight up being genuine. The thing that Tobe says here, and in general, isn't just for the clout or for fake wokeness. It's stuff that he truly and actually does believe in, like having respect for women. D-Smoke comes in with a verse that carries on the first sentiment pretty well, I'd feel. He talks about life where he grew up and how bullets rained down by the hour, and how he had to witness some of his homies die to all that. He also gets into how some men, like during funerals and in that sort of scenario, are only really allowed to look angry when things like that sort of happen. Like, we're not allowed to show our emotions other than anger. Purple Rain thing slows things down a little bit and focuses even further on issues in the hood and how both of them are keeping it real. Obviously, it's a reference to Princess Purple Rain, and it actually interpolates the song pretty well. But then Lil Keke brings in the same sort of energy with his verse here. It's all about keeping it real and bringing attention to the issues that they've both been witness to in their neighborhoods. We then have Pistol featuring Bun B and Sci High. And this is exactly what I would expect from this sort of track with Bun B. Like, beat just sounds super heavy. It feels like a Houston beat. I wish we did get a verse from him though, but his work on the chorus is pretty solid. Tobe's verse is quite a bit different in delivery from what we've been getting thus far on the project because he starts off almost singing. I actually didn't even notice that it was him at first. This song to me is talking about gun violence and what some people will do with guns. Tobe's verse has him talking to the listener and letting them know that sometimes it ain't that serious. You can get mad, but going after the person that did you dirty is probably not the best way to go about it. Especially if you're the sole supplier, the man of the house, or the person that people depend on, because you really just don't know what they're going to do. Sci-Hi takes a slightly different approach and goes into some of the things that people that have guns may do with them, such as drive-bys and robberies, but it's obviously not only those things. Cujo features Kilikailion and is named in reference to the film Cujo, which both artists talk about briefly. To me, this track is about how they're both boss dogs in their own way. For Tobe, it's that he's spreading a message and is looked up to. Whereas for Kilikailion, it's about how he's really just about that street life and ain't no fake shit here. Speaking of fake shit, The Truth features none other than Trey the Truth. This song carries on a familiar theme about how they're both real and they are the truth, as well as letting the listener know that there aren't many like them. Trey and Tobe, actually, are people who are trying to spread the idea of being a good person in one way or another. In fact, I think just a few days ago, Trey was awarded Humanitarian of the Year for all the work that he's been doing this year. They're both very vocal about issues going on in the world and want to make it a point that they're actually the truth and they're not trying to be fake in any sort of way. The final song on this album is Tunda Fire, featuring Nell and Mumu Fresh. And I feel that this track acts as a reminder to all the listeners that black people are still being attacked and looked down on just for being black. It feels like the point that they're trying to get across here is to be proud of who you are and where you came from, but also acknowledge that not everyone is going to feel that way about you. The album ends with life lessons from Amber Mama. I don't know too much about Amber or Amber Mama, but it sounds like Amber has been bedridden for some time and has only recently been able to get herself to freestyle and rap again, like she's mentioned in the interludes. The gist of the outro, to me, is to try and better yourself and to not give up even when things are looking bad. Upon first listen, and the first few minutes of it actually, it sounds kind of aggressive, but is really just to reinforce that Amber is strong and can get through this. But at least that's what I got from it. Overall, this album was really solid. And this is actually only the second full album that I've listened to from Tobe, the other being the Pandemic Project, but I've also listened to a handful of other tracks that he's put out as well. Tobe in general definitely brings a different vibe than what you would expect from someone from Houston, but he does it really well. He still brings that Houston sound with the beats and the production, but with his lyrics, he's really just trying to be wholesome and bring a message to the listener. My favorite tracks are Headshots, Eat, Bozos, Wildlings, and The Truth. I definitely look forward to hearing more music from Tobe in the future. Luckily, it probably won't be very long because he's been Like, he and his camp have been putting out music every Sunday, or even if it's not music, it's a video or some sort of content. So there's always new stuff to look forward to. But that's all I got for this review. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this album and what your favorite tracks are. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content and reviews like this one. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.